Silent disco. Okay, I am Austin Griffith. What do we have here? This is kind of a weird screen. I guess that'll work. I'm Austin Griffith. I work for the BuildGuild DAO. We do education, prototyping, and grant giving. Our education product is Speedrun Ethereum. If you have technical people, technical Web 2 people, if you have nerds coming into the space and they're trying to figure out how to get started and kind of learn the aha moments, tell them to go to Speedrun Ethereum. Speedrun Ethereum is just like this condensed curriculum that will take your technical folks straight through those aha moments that are really important, not just teaching you kind of the how, but also the why. Let's get MetaMask out of there. But after our educational stuff, you'll build a DEX, you'll build state channels, you'll build all of these apps that are really applicable to the space and help you get an idea of like what kinds of things you actually build on Ethereum, not just using it like an expensive database. For instance, building a DEX is really important. It's going to teach you about hyperstructures and LPs and stuff like that. But then once you're done learning, we have this tool called Scaffold ETH, which is made for prototyping and building apps, which I'll show today in a real quick speed run. And we also build a lot of apps with Scaffold ETH. ABI Ninja is a way to it's like an instant front end for any contract. Hacked wallet recovery came from our community. It's like a Flashbots tool that takes a wallet that's been hacked and packages up Flashbots bundle to sweep any remaining assets that are locked in that account. And then what was the other one here? I think it is Address Vision is another little utility we have that's written in Scaffold ETH that's just a handy public good for the ecosystem. Let me close all those out. And then on the other end, we do a lot of grants. We give a lot of small grants on the edge to small hackathons and builders working for open source. But today, it's all about building apps quickly, and I'm going to dive into Scaffold ETH 2. I've already done this part right here, but let me just show you one more time. What you do is you can fork the repo by going to GitHub and stealing that, or you can run this, whoops, I didn't want to do that. Or you can run this npx create ETH. Either of these commands work. And what's going to happen here is it's going to give you kind of a choose your own adventure here. We'll name our project London or something like that. But this is the important part here. You kind of have this choice between hard hat or foundry. And it lets you choose which one you want to use. Some teams want one, some teams want others. We just want to have the optionality there. I've already chosen hard hat for this project. I've given it a name. I've spun up Scaffold ETH. There's 3 different commands. You'll see it in the repo, but you have to do a yarn start, and that brings up your front end. You have to do a yarn chain, and that brings up your blockchain, and then you do a yarn deploy, and that is going to ship your template contract out to your local network. And this is the most important part of Scaffold ETH right here. So you have your smart contract here, and let's add a public address delegate, right? So this is just not delete. There we go. We're going to create a delegate, right? And if I hit save there and I redeploy this, now over in Scaffold ETH, I have a front end that's auto-adapting to my smart contract live as I'm deploying things. So this lets me really tinker with and understand how I want my smart contract to work. Uh-oh, looks like something didn't work here. What'd I do wrong here? Address public, right? I wrote it wrong. Here we go. All right, let's try that again. Please work second try. And what we're going to see is this new delegate shows up, right? Okay, so now we have this the new delegate. I probably should just show you the smart contract real quick just so you have a lay of the land. We kind of put in a handful of things in this template smart contract just to give you an idea of primitives and data types, just to kind of get you started with Solidity quickly. If you already know Solidity, you're going to be able to just jump in here and start hacking. But if you don't, you can go to Solidity by example and use the examples from Solidity by example and copy them in here and tinker with them. But let's see, we have a classic greeting contract here. A really interesting thing, it looks like it's a payable function, and if the value is greater than 0, we set some premium flag. Let's go do that real quick just to do a hello world. And I'll grab some money from the faucet, and I'll hit send, and we see our greeting change there, right? But what we want to do is, let's pay a little money too. I'm going to pay 0.01 ETH. And notice this is kind of clunky, you might think. This is like a UX, DX kind of thing. We want the developer to have to know what's happening here. I can't put in 0.01 because we don't have floating point math. It's in the EVM. So what you have to do is hit this little button and you have to take it from ETH to Wei. And of course you would not want your end user to do that, but here while you're tinkering as a developer, you absolutely need to do that. So you have it in your mind what's going on and what is Wei and what is ETH. And there we go. We just paid a little money. Our little premium flag went to true. We're able to set the greeting to hello world. So that's basically it. It's just a greeter contract. So let's say this is your hackathon project. It's time for you to build something cool, right? So you can get in here and add things to your smart contract, right? I'm going to start with adding a delegate, and then I'm going to create a function that lets me, update the delegate. Let's see, what are we doing here? There we go, set delegate, yep. Looks good. I'm just going to let anybody do it too, so it's like it's like totally public function that anybody can set, and it's kind of just this arbitrary delegate. I don't know exactly what I'm doing here. Maybe I would have the delegate receive money as people are setting the greeting, but I don't have time for that. We have 14 more minutes left, so I gotta just kind of ship something small so it makes sense. So we have this new delegate address that we added to our smart contract, and then we added a set delegate function. And if I go ahead and deploy that, let's see if we can tinker with it in the front end. There we go. And now we have this new set delegate function here, right? And if we want to set Vitalik to the delegate, look at that. It does this nice ENS avatar preview. You have a nice blocky preview. It just looks nice. And if we hit send here, what happens? There we go. Now we've set Vitalik as our delegate. Now let's pretend this contract is solid and it's what we want. Obviously, you've got all weekend. You would spend a lot more time getting your smart contract the way you want. But since this is just kind of a compressed demo, let's just pretend I just spent a couple hours working on my contract and I've tested it and it all looks good. And now it's time to ship our app. So this is you kind of shift modes. You kind of go from tinkering here, where you're making changes to your smart contract and you're tinkering with it and testing your assumptions in the front end, to let's build a front end that our users could use, right? So I just want to bring in this delegate and this set delegate functionality into just the React app and show you guys hooks and how quick it is to build apps with Scaffold ETH. So let's go into so we were in the hard hat mostly there. Now we're going to go into the Next.js, and we're going to go into the app, and we're going to write some stinking React. And you'll find, if you're building a hackathon project or anything that people use, you'll spend about this much time writing your smart contract and about this much time doing stupid React. But that's the game. That's the name of the game if you want to build consumer apps and things that people use. You got to spend a lot of time on that UX. Okay. So let's see, our landing page kind of lets us know who's connected. It gives us some guides. I'm probably just going to tear most of that out. Let's see, let's just delete some stuff here. Whoa, maybe to there. Let's see, nope, one more. How's that look? Did I clean it up? There we go, nice. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to display the delegate. So we need to do a read from the contract to display it here. So when you go to do a read, you're going to use a hook. And by the way, let's look at this hook right here. This use account hook is from WAGME. So if you end up needing more documentation there, you can always go to wagme.sh and learn more about their hooks. But we've even wrapped their hooks into something even more abstract, because we deal with the wallets and the network and stuff for you. So really, you can use our hooks, and I'll get to that in a second. Let's do that. Let's get in here. So this is the WAGME hook, and it's given us the connected address, and that's how we're displaying this here. And notice this nice address component. Again, just like in the input, we have these really nice components that are going to do things like ENS out of the box to help you build your app quicker. Okay, so let's make a hook that is going to use scaffold contract read. That's what I want. There we go. It's kind of a mouthful, but it's a really powerful and nice function. What I'll do here is I'll put in a contract name, and look at that, it auto-completes with my contract. So if I have a bunch of contracts, they're going to auto-complete in there, right? We want your contract, and then function name, and what are we going to call? Hopefully it does, look at that, it does some nice completion here. What do we want? Delegate, owner, greeting. I think I want the delegate, right? Okay, and no arguments will go in. And what's going to come back out here is going to be some data that we can rename to delegate. Wow, it's a good thing I didn't try to do a prediction market. I'm not going to have enough time. I'm barely going to get this thing deployed. I was thinking about doing a little prediction market, but then we reverted to just doing this delegate. Okay, and then let's grab this address component, paste this in here, and we'll say the delegate address is this dude's address right here. And let's see if it worked. Yeah, it's Vitalik. Okay, so we're displaying the person who's connected. We're displaying the delegate address from the contract, so we're reading a value from the contract. Now I want to demonstrate writing to the contract, right? So what we're going to need is probably some input form that will probably track in the state, and then we'll do some use contract write. So maybe, let's see, let's just start working on this UI and see if it kind of unfurls for us here. So we want to, what, like set delegate. Okay, and then we're going to have an address input component. Yeah. And let's see. Let's call this new delegate. And then on change, we'll do something like set new delegate. Okay. Oh, I want that to be new delegate. Oh, new address. I think that works. And then let's see if it like recognizes that I need some state here. Yes, it did. All right, cool. And I need to import use state. Oh, where are we at now? Something still, oh, I need to close the address input. There we go. So I think, oh, is it still broken? Yeah, nice. So now we have this input form, and if I put in ATG.ETH, it should, oh no, it's not. Let's see, it's not tracking the value somehow. Oh, this needs to be value, I think. There we go, there we go. Okay, so then if I do ATG.ETH, okay, and now we need a button. So we're tracking that state now. We have this nice input component that lets us put in an address, and then it resolves it and everything. But now what we need is a little button we can hit right here that says set delegate and does a write on the contract. And so that will use, we're going to do const use scaffold contract write this time. We're going to write to the contract, and it's going to be shaped the same. It's going to have this object with this contract name, right? And we also need some function name of, what do we want to call? We want to call set delegate, right? And then for the args, we're actually going to have args here. It will be new delegate, right? How's that looking? Okay, and then what do we have? Like a write async that comes back here? Yes. And I'm going to rename that to set delegate. So with this hook right here, we're reading the delegate from the contract. And with this hook right here, we're going to write a new delegate to the contract. So you're reading and writing from your contract from these nice hooks right in your front end. Let's go wire up that button and see if we can get this thing to work. Let's see, div, I don't even know what I'm doing. Button, definitely. Oh, give me a class name. Oh, come on. Class name equals btn dash primary. Oh, there it is, almost. The AI is making me think for myself, I hate it. All right, and we'll do slash button, there we go. All right, and is it set delegate? Yes, we call set delegate, right? It wired it up correctly, so it should call this function. All right, let's go find out if it works. And then if we have 6 minutes, we'll ship it live. Oh, wow, that's really ugly, but we don't have time to make that look pretty. So what I want to do is make sure I can do atg.eth and then hit set delegate, and then what we're looking for is this delegate address. Yes, okay, it works. All right, so we've tinkered with our smart contract for a couple hours and we got it right. Maybe we wrote some tests. Then we tinkered with our front end. There was kind of this moment where we're tinkering with our smart contract and poking at it. And that iteration is really going to help you get your contract figured out. Then we moved over to the front end and we kind of built out an app that's more like user facing. Now it's time to deploy this thing live, right? So if we want to go live, we're going to need to put both a smart contract up and then an app on whatever network we go to. And we are running out of time. So let's hope, let's see. So when it's local, you're on your own local blockchain. So it's free basically to deploy, right? But if we want to deploy to like Base or Optimism or Mainnet, we're going to have to pay. So to do that, you create a new account. You do a yarn generate. And this creates a local account that's already get ignored, that's isolated to just your deployer, so you only send it just enough money to deploy. You already have this private key hidden, so you can't leak it. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to get this account, and I'm going to send it some Base, and we will deploy. And I'm going to use Punk Wallet, which is just like a quick web wallet that was written with the original version of Scaffold ETH. Thankfully, we have Scaffold ETH 2 now, and we have the builders in the audience, and it's a much cleaner, much nicer tool. Let's go Base. Oh man, I don't have very much Base. I don't need very much Base. That's a good point. Let's see, how much? Oh yeah, $20 is going to be enough, right? Boy, I hope so. Okay. 5 cents to deploy a whole contract? Yeah? All right. All right, let's go. The blobs. Yeah, I love them. All right. So now, just like we were doing that yarn deploy, I'm going to do a yarn deploy, but I'm going to add -- network Base and cross my fingers that all this works. The live demo gods. And what this hopefully does is take that smart contract we've been tinkering and deploy it to Base live, which I think it did, right? It deployed right here. Should we go to Base Scan and see how much that cost real quick, just for the blob check? That was 2 cents to deploy that smart contract. Ooh-wee. We are entering a new time where mass adoption and cool kids from California are building apps on Base. Boy, something new is about to set off. Okay, so our contract is out, but our app isn't out yet, and we have 3 minutes left, so I better get cooking here. What we need to do is, first I need to switch my front end over to, notice it still says hard hat. This is another really nice thing about Scaffold ETH, is there's a scaffold config, and with one button, I always switch that over. With one button, you can switch your whole app over to a different chain. So watch this. If I change this to Base and hit save, our app automatically now is on Base. And oh man, I don't think I want MetaMask. I'm gonna go back to burner wallets. False save. You don't usually use burner wallets in production, but I'm going to. Okay, so now our app, just by putting it on Base, our app is on Base now. So look what happens when I click on this address. Remember all those address components and all those things? When I click on that address, it's going to take me to Base Scan now. So if I wanted to go to Optimism, I'm going to change one variable there and deploy my app, and my app's on Optimism and it's ready to go, right? So a lot of these things are going to be handled for you. Also, if I come in with my MetaMask and I'm on the wrong network, it's going to bump people over to the right network. I don't know if most wallet providers do that. Do they do that out of the box now? Yeah, like Web3 Modal, do they switch? Okay. All right, so here we go. We got to do one last thing. Our contract is live. I don't think my app is going to get deployed in time, but what I do is yarn Vercel YOLO prod. And what that's going to do is put my app out on Vercel. Yes, no, London. It's never going to finish in time. There's no way that's going to finish in 1 minute. But we might have to just pretend a little bit. So we were able to iterate on our smart contract using this nice adaptive front end. Then we were able to write a nice little UI that's kind of ugly, but you can spend a little bit more time on it this weekend. And then we were able to deploy that app live to Base and then deploy the front end. Oh, yes. No. I don't want to modify the settings. Just work. Okay. So this is going to take a couple minutes to deploy, and I think I'm going to have to be out of here. But this should help you quickly build your hackathon projects. It's going to have the stuff that you need out of the box. It's a very clean build. Carlos doesn't let anything get merged into this thing that doesn't belong. So know that this is a very forkable, very quick and light and lean tool, but also very powerful. You can build production apps. Okay, thank you all very much. Go check out Scaffold ETH. Go speed run Ethereum.